what is the Internet of Things? Because you can talk to anyone and they'll give you a different answer.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem, right? It's another one of these great IT bandwagon terms where it means everything to everybody or nothing to nobody. The challenge with the Internet of Things is it's kind of what you want it to be. And even the name itself, it, you know, kind of sends you in the wrong direction, because the point of the Internet of Things, for my definition, is not the things. The point of the Internet of Things is the data those things generate. So the Internet of Things is essentially what happens in a world where everything around us is connected and spewing out data. What do you do with that data is the important thing. So if I'm a business, yeah, I need to figure out what that sort of the device side of it means, but in reality the questions I have to ask are about, well, what are the data that they generate? What am I going to do with that? How's that going to add value to me? How's that going to affect my bottom line, whether it's in terms of more profits, in terms of new business models, or reduce the cost of operation?
Okay, can you give some examples of how the Internet of Things could help you discover a new business model, or optimize your business, or possibly reduce costs?
So the Internet of Things, or specifically the data they generate, give us a much better view of what's actually happening.
Should we stop talking about the Internet of Things and start focusing on big data? Because it feels like Internet of Things is just the machine that allows the data to be produced.
It's a really interesting question, and I sort of, my gut reaction is to say yes, but I think the reality is the two are a part of the same topic, but they're not the same thing.
Okay.
And and I think, especially at the moment, the Internet of Things is right at the beginning of its journey. We're all trying to get our heads around what it actually means, to your question earlier. So we've got to include a bit about what those connected devices do, but the focus should be, if I was a business, the focus should be on the data that gets generated, rather than just necessarily, I've installed the Internet of Things, I'm done now, right? You know. So in terms of business, what it is, having better insight about what's actually happening gives you a number of different things. One is, okay, now I've got more granular insight, so I know how many hours the light bulb's been burning, I know how many times the carpet tile's been trodden on. Well, okay, that's kind of helpful to a certain extent. But the more data you generate, this beautiful thing starts to happen where I can now actually use the data to make much more accurate predictions, rather than just using the data reflectively. Well, those light bulbs burned for 7,000 hours and then they failed. Well, actually, when I know that, and the data's proved that, I don't have to wait for 7,000 hours before I replace the light bulb. I can replace the light bulb at 6,999 hours, or whatever tolerance that you have. How does that play out in terms of business? Let me give you a real sort of life example. So there's a lift company called Tyson, who have this sort of preemptive data usage in their lifts, so installed in office buildings. And they're able now to accurately predict the failure of the lift before it fails. So why is that important? Well, if you're in that office, having the lift not break down, preferably while you're not inside it, means that actually you maintain a level of service. It's also a lot cheaper to send an engineer out to do a preemptive fix than it is to send an engineer out to retrieve a stuck lift halfway down a shaft, all that sort of stuff.
And I suppose as well, depending on, okay, so Tyson, for example, Tyson?
Yeah.
They probably know the things that wear out most often. So what they can do is, by measuring that, then they can then say, well, we don't have to send engineers to stand around and go, Instead, you can just go, okay, it's the wheel jack.
You've worked in elevators before, fantastic. No, but it also means that, let's say, you know, well, God, why did we do it? It's my fault for bringing lifts into the conversation, but, you know, I'll probably have an annual service contract for the lifts, right? So actually it's a lot better for the engineer, when they're there to do the annual service check, to install the bits that we've predicted to fail, rather than wait till they have failed to get the engineer back, another call out charge, and do all that sort of stuff. So that's just an example with lifts. We're doing it with TfL today, lots of other sort of examples, but that's, you know, at a broader level. At a much smaller level in terms of what you can do as a business, and again it's back to the power of data, is you start to understand what kind of data would you require in order to be able to do new things. Now that requires a really different mindset in lots of companies. You know, again it's back to this reflective versus predictive use of data.
Okay.
I want people inside organisations to almost have an entrepreneurial flair about data, because data is this transformational thing. It's the fuel that will power our business and our personal lives to a greater or lesser extent. And if you've got people thinking in that kind of entrepreneurial way about data, say looking at the data we generate as a byproduct of our business, how could I use that to innovate what we do, to create new business models, to drop the bottom line, all that sort of stuff. I mean, we talked about dropping the bottom line. Again, if I can predict stuff before it fails, then actually means I get a better level of service, higher customer satisfaction. But data can be used to generate new business models in a number of different areas. There are three that sort of spring to my mind. One is, there's probably financial value in the data that you have that would be of financial value to another organisation. So you generate something as a byproduct that probably might have some value somewhere else to some other organisation. Are you thinking about that as a company? Have you looked at the data and said, actually, so this stuff we've got here, who can I sell that to?
Or have you even recorded it?
Or have I even recorded it, right? There's another thing. I mean, that's the other thing about today is, you know, we should no longer be deleting data. I know that's a bit of a weird concept, but like storage is cheap. And actually, it's not that your data has no value, it's just that you haven't yet come up with an idea about how to get value from it. The second area where data becomes really valuable is when you take your data and you add it to other people's data to get new insight. Great example from the insurance industry that show this, and they basically know if they tap into your consumer spending behaviour, they can make a much better assessment of the level of risk you place them as a customer. So they know, for example, if you're the sort of person that buys them little felt pads that you stick underneath your furniture to stop scratching your lovely wooden floors, you're several times more likely to make a payment than someone who doesn't, and you're much less likely to claim.
Do you think it would go as deep as if it could tell how spontaneous I was in my spending as well? So instead of, you know, looking at, say, I don't know, an online retailer, I would go to that page multiple times before buying it and then tell the difference between if I just went straight in and bought that big ticket item.
Yeah, in theory. I mean, I don't think that actually happens today. In theory, that goes. And there's a lovely story from the US. I don't know if it's true, but they say that sort of the credit card companies in the US can predict couples who are about to divorce simply by monitoring their spending habits.
Sports car purchases.
Yeah, whatever, holidays. I've no idea. So interesting, but that's the sort of power. Number two, and then number three is, if you're going to generate new data as part of an initiative that you're doing, you know, in business, what you should be doing from the beginning is looking at that data and saying, well, how else could I use that? So a really simple example: if you're going to stick CCTV in your retail stores, don't just use the data to spot shoplifters. Use it to analyse foot flow through your store, get a better layout of the store, so you have multiple uses of the same data. So if you have that sort of entrepreneurial spirit about the data you have, then you're going to start to see the big payback. And that's the big thing about data, is it's really what you make of it that makes the difference, not necessarily.
What kind of questions should the businesses be asking themselves to come up with a strategy for it?
Well, I love the way you phrase that, because questions is a really important thing, asking the right questions. And you know, one of my favourite quotes is from Pablo Picasso, bizarrely, in the mid-60s, some French art magazine. And they were asking him about his view on computers. And remember, his view of computers in the mid-60s was very different to our view of computers. But his answer would be as true today as it was then. And his answer was basically, computers are useless. All computers can do is give me answers. I need something that can come up with the right questions. And so if I was a business today, what I would be doing is, what are the right questions for data? What is the data, what data would I require in order to be able to answer these questions? And when you know that, then you can start to build out. So in order to generate that data, what do I need to do? What's my view on the Internet of Things? What needs to be connected in my environment in order to give me the data that gives me the answers to the questions that are important to my business?
Okay, so what do I need to know to be faster, better, quicker?
Yeah, and I would sort of push it further than faster, better, quicker. The point of data, and I would argue the point of all technology, is not just faster, better, quicker, it's transformative. What is it that I need in order to change how I do my business, to achieve the same, if not better outcomes, but by working completely differently? And it's this sort of nature of transformation that's crucial, right?
Change everything you know.
Well, it is a bit, right? Because the challenge we have as humans is we use new technology to replicate old ways of working. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we live in a very different time now as a society, never mind as business. We're in a digital society, we can do things differently to the way that we've always done them. We see examples of this every day. My favourite is the tax disc example. So they got phased out as of October the 1st or November the 1st, I forget which. Why did they do that? Well, in a digital society, a world powered by ANPR, automatic number plate recognition, it means that I no longer have bobbies on the beat checking, peering through millions of windscreens every day to see a little coloured disc of paper.
Okay.
I've got a computer that does that. So what do the DVLA do?
Yeah.
Well, they change their way of working because it's a new opportunity. It transformed their business. That's how we have to be thinking about this, as well as doing the same stuff faster, better, cheaper.